Back in Millville, New Jersey at New Jersey Motorsports Park for round 9 of the MotoAmerica Championship as we await motorcycles to arrive for the Liqui Moly Junior Cup class. Jason, what do you think? You saw qualifying.
Yep.
You saw Rocco Landers. He looks good.
He did great.
But he's on the cusp of winning his first national championship. You've been there. Nerves. Let's talk nerves.
I really don't think he's got any because he's got such a big lead that you kind of get such a big lead in a championship where you kind of go back to thinking about race to race. And you heard in the interview that he did earlier with Hannah that he's coming in here fairly relaxed. He said if I did my math right, which he has, and I think that he's just going to go treat this as any other race. 1.2 second advantage over the next best this morning, and he'll just keep applying that pressure and watch his pit board.
Well, the closest person in the championship to Rocco Landers is Kevin Almeida. Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, when I spoke with Kevin earlier today, he said he knows what's at stake here this weekend, but New Jersey is a very special track for him. He came here when he was only 11 years old to watch his first ever AMA professional race, and he said, I want to do that someday, and last year he even won here. So he's definitely not going to be going down without a fight this afternoon.
Yeah, and that was in the rain, too, so this was really his first opportunity, meaning this morning in this accelerated schedule we have here, these two-day events, for him to ride in the dry. And when I talked to Kevin Almeida, Jason, just before we came up here to the booth, he had a big smile on his face, and I said, what's your plan? And he said, well, the plan is to try to stick with Rocco in the early laps. He said the thing that he's concerned about is the number 14 who we're looking at right now is the speed of the number 18 Jackson Blackman. And he said, it's going to be interesting if he and Jackson can work together and maybe track down Rocco if he gets out to one of his classic Jackrabbit starts.
It's really hard to work together with a guy that puts so much pressure on you at the start because everybody's trying to go as quickly as they can, and they have a tendency sometimes to trip themselves up and so on. So you can see, Greg, we're on the line right now. This is a quick start procedure that we're doing today because of our condensed schedule. This is where we're going to get one crew member out there just to kind of make sure that their rider finds their correct grid spot. And then once the field is set, they're going to get everybody off the grid like you've seen. There's Jackson Blackman. But you're exactly right, Greg. And the more these guys trip each other up, the bigger advantage Rocco gets. Kevin Almeida second. Jackson Blackman is outside row 1. Second row, Dominic Doyle, Gage Reese, and Damian Jagalov.
And keep in mind, with the amount of track time that the Liqui Moly Junior Cup riders have had, this 1 point plus second lead that Rocco has might be depleted. You can see on row number 3, Cody Wyman there, Isaiah Burleson, Jacob Stroud, who was showing some speed early on with Teague Hobbs in 12th spot. As we move back to row number 5, it's Standish, Rodeo, Benjamin Glotty, Jamie Ostadio, and Grayson Davidson will finish up our 17 riders in this field. So competitors out on the warm-up lap. Jason mentioned it, quick start procedure here because of our accelerated schedule. This race, Jason, scheduled for 11 laps today, or 10 laps?
Yeah.
11 laps, sorry. 11 laps
right.
scheduled for
11
this
laps.
one. This one's 11 laps. So Rocco Landers is going to be on pole position. Now, Jason, when we talk about pole position, here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, it actually gives Rocco a little bit of an advantage on the outside edge of the racetrack, not the inside edge. What's the distinction between those two starting positions? Because a lot of people would come here and think you want to be closer to the inside, right?
Yeah. No, the outside spot there is going to be kind of like what you'd almost say is the preferred line down into turn 1. So in certain tracks that we go to, we'll see pole position on the outside, and we'll see pole position in some places on the inside. Laguna Seca is another one of those where we kind of see pole position on the right side, even though the first turn is yellow. Kind of gives the advantage to the person who had set the fastest lap, and that was this guy here. This morning, Greg, I watched him do that lap. He actually timed it perfectly. Where they're coming through right now out of turn 10 and going down through this 11, 11A, all this section, he was about 0.4 behind Kevin Almeida and Jackson Blackman, and then drafted both of them down the front straightaway. So it was absolutely a perfect lap from him.
Monster lap. And I mean, just to give you context, these are 400cc motorcycles. The larger displacement Supersport bike, 600cc. Rocco was about 5 seconds slower, which is really incredible. Now, this racetrack does lend itself to good lap times with these smaller displacement bikes, Jason, because it's got a lot of flow to it.
Yeah, no, there's no question. There's a lot of roll speed, and that's what you'll see out of that young man. He just has this ability. He doesn't do anything really drastic with his body. He rides very clean, smooth. Doesn't look like he does much. He doesn't give away much because it doesn't look like he does much on the bike itself. And you'll see that coming up here shortly. He's got to get a good start, and hopefully everybody gets down through that turn 1 safely.
Number 97, Rocco Landers on the cusp of his first national championship. Number 14, Kevin Almeida, trying to keep his hopes alive. When the lights go off, we're going race number 1. LiquiMoly Junior Cup. Landers with a good launch. Almeida as well.
Yep.
As Rocco starts to rip through the gears, he's got a good shot at turn number 1 as the rest of the riders jockey in behind him. Oh, and a little contact between Blackman on the 18 and 14 Almeida.
Exactly what Almeida did not want, and that allowed Dominic Doyle to sneak up in there in third spot now. So at the front, you got Rocco Landers, Jackson Blackman, who's doing really, really well this weekend as Jackson. He's also riding the Twin Cup. Rocco gets in there just a little bit deep into that right, and you can see the different line that he ended up having to take to fix that problem a little bit there in the middle of the chicane.
Jackson Blackman on the 18, Monkey Moto ATV Sport Blunt Lubricants Machine going after Rocco Landers. But Landers, Jason, this is where he shines.
Yep.
It's that first lap and his ability, if he's leading, to try to get a bit of a gap there that nobody's able to seem to make it up.
Look what Jackson's trying to do, though. He's trying his best to go with him. He realizes that if he doesn't give that up right off the bat, and he can kind of try to stay close, especially when they get ready to come down that front straightaway, he might be able to draft. But see that gap that just creates in that long right there. That's what Rocco does. He just has a tendency to just let that lever off. You can see it even in the mid-corner speed there. But Jackson's doing a really nice job. And what I like from this is that it's going to hopefully pull Jackson away from Almeida and Dominic Doyle just a little bit. And that's precisely what this lap has done by Jackson putting his head down and chasing that carrot in front of him.
Dominic Doyle on that Barcon Racing. That's the green machine in your screen just behind the 14. So Dominic Doyle has been on the podium this year. Going for, whoa, we have a lead change.
Yep.
It looks like Jackson Blackman in a draft and pass move. So all of a sudden, just like that, Rocco Landers relegated back to second spot, as well as Dominic Doyle goes into third.
It was so important that Jackson Blackman got up underneath Almeida there into turn 1 at the start of this race, and it allowed him to go with Rocco early. So now that's going to give him a lot of confidence knowing that he just got done passing the guy who could potentially win the championship today. And Almeida, in turn, also got past Dominic Doyle. Looked like Doyle was going to go up underneath him in turn 1. Here they go into this fast kink.
Oh, pass for lead.
Wow.
Side by side they go. Rocco had position, and Jackson Blackman had to check up, and that's created about a 6 or 7 bike length gap. So Landers back to the point.
It didn't look like he got out of that left-hander very good, and Jackson was thinking about trying to sneak up the inside of him there. But that pass is going to be set up because of the corner speed that Rocco Landers has through turn 3C in order to sneak up the inside of Jackson in turn 4. Now these other two guys, they've kind of got a little separation between them as well. They want to try to not do anything too much as far as carving each other up. And then maybe they could try to get back on the back of Jackson Blackman and Rocco Landers again.
I just have to think for Rocco Landers, as cool as he sounded at the top of the show, I just think there's a little bit of nerves here on this first lap, just getting through it, Jason. And now we're going to see if Rocco Landers is able to settle into the Rocco pace. Yep. Coming onto the front straightaway, a good drive from the 18. Oh, he had to check up a little bit.
Really good. No, Jackson got a great run.
It was Jackson in the draft for a moment, pulls out, they come across the line. It's Blackman who will get credited for the lead. Into turn 1 on the brakes, position Rocco Landers. He dives for the apex and gets it done.
Yep, and that's going to be, this is where, now we'll see what the lap times are, Greg. 31.6. Let's keep in mind this morning that he got down to 29.6, so they're about 2 seconds off, but this is going to be a lot of confidence for Jackson Blackman right now, being able to be in second spot, run with that leader, run with the guy that's been dominating the season.
9 laps to go in this one. Rocco Landers, the 97. Ninja400.com. Norton Motorsports, Dr. Farr entry.
Just look at the difference in lines, though, in spots. You're going to see here in a minute when they go through these big series of right-handers that they're going through, and they get to turn 10 in a minute. Jackson holds the bike a lot tighter through the middle of turn 10, and when you look at time over distance and things, it almost looks like he closes it up. And you can see there, he's not quite using as much exit. I'm looking on our screens right now. We have purple in the first sector, so Rocco Landers has just gone as fast as first sector of anybody in the race. And these two guys are battling for third and fourth. Next time, we'll be able to see those leaders go through. And Rocco just uses a little bit more track in the middle of this than does Jackson. Let's see where they're at when they come on the front straightaway.
Great battle for third. 25, Dominic Doyle out of South Africa. Going after Kevin Almeida, second in the points from El Salvador. That's the final spot on the podium as they start to break free from Damian Jigaloff.
Yeah, but Damian's right there too. 31 flat that time for the leaders, and you can see Jigaloff back there in fifth is trying to close up on this battle for third between Almeida and Doyle, and those guys, they've actually been pretty clean with each other. They're only passed each other down that front straightaway, really. So that's what they kind of have to do. But they are, what, Greg, 1.3 off the fastest at that last time by.
Yeah, so they're starting to lose some ground, and you can see the body language for a moment of Kevin Olmedo is really starting to throw that motorcycle around like it's desperate times for the man from El Salvador. Rocco Landers, the 97, leading Jackson Blackman as they head into sector number 1, gives us a good indicator of what kind of times they're able to rip off.
You can see there, if you look on the front brake lever area of Kevin Almeida, the front brake protector from where him and Jackson Blackman got together into turn 1, you can see that thing pointing right up in the air, Greg.
So last time by, it was Rocco Landers setting that fastest split in the first sector. Sector 2 done, 20.8, so real close is now Rocco Landers starting to get a 10th here and a 10th there on Jackson Blackman.
Watch the line difference here. Rocco runs it in, lets it run out a little bit. See how tight Jackson is? All that's going to do really, though, is it's going to help Rocco get the bike upright a little bit sooner. But I feel that Jackson closes up a ton of time on him in that left-hander by not letting the bike run out quite so wide. And that's going to put him in a spot now where he's going to try to draft for this lead again. Damian Jigalov now has got himself, Jigalov is back on the back of these two. He's going to get a double bike draft up the front straightaway.
Yeah, so all eyes on Damian Jigalov as a pass for the lead. Jackson Blackman, fastest lap of the race, passes Rocco Landers, and to the point he goes again. And this battle for third now raging as we have a new addition to the group. Damian Jigalov just won a 1:30.433 to set the fastest lap of the race for the moment.
That's a tremendous lap from Damian Jigalov back there in the 5th spot. These three guys here, they just got to keep doing what they're doing, not trip each other up, and see how that race plays in front. I think it's tremendous that Jackson is bringing the fight to Rocco Landers today. They had 2 different lines in here too. Rocco goes into this turn a lot tighter. We've seen that the last 4 laps as well. He just runs a little bit tighter entry than does Jackson Blackman there. Both guys have a look over their shoulder. They see that they've gapped those guys back there for third.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind that really what Rocco Landers is looking at, he wants a race win, of course he does, but the championship's on the line, and really all he has to do is beat the 14 of Kevin Olmedo, and he's got a bit of a gap, so the question now becomes for Rocco Landers, how much risk do I take to try to win this race?
You know what, I bet he's just really not even thinking about that too much right now because he's got a race. This is probably the best thing that could happen for him, is to have somebody that he can be up there battling with, and he can focus on the race itself rather than the prize that could come with it afterwards. So he's probably going to just try to get back in the draft of Jackson Blackman as they come onto the front straightaway. You can see as they go through here, Jackson's looking over the wrong shoulder. He's on the other side.
Side by side they go. Blackman credited with the lead when they came across the line, but we know how Rocco is with position. Nope, he'll fall back, and there's that battle for third as the 14 Olmedo takes the point for the moment.
Jigalov had it for a minute. Now he's going to turn it back up underneath, and he's going to take that point back as they go up over the top of turn 2.
Everyone looking for space, so Damian Jigalov out of Chicago on the 78 has it for the moment.
He's got some pace because he caught these guys on his own just a few minutes ago with no draft, no anybody in front of him. He just was chipping away and putting in those laps and caught those 2 in front. You can see they've gapped these guys pretty good now, Greg. 2.1 seconds from Landers that time in second back to Almedo.
I don't know, Jay, 6 laps to go with a gap of about 2 seconds back to Jigalov. He's going to have a couple tenths of a second, probably 3 to 4 per lap in order to even catch this group. We'll see that next time by. Landers, different line choice.
Well, he's going to get to see what Jackson's doing right now in this next left because it's a lot different than what Rocco's doing. And I feel that Jackson's got a pretty good, solid line down through this left. And this time you can see Rocco just kind of followed him and saw what he did. And this young man's so smart, he'll put all that in his memory bank for as the race gets closer to the end. But I think Jackson has a little bit better line down there in the turn 10 area.
Jackson Blackman, who is probably one of our season favorites, I think, before we saw things going on, has had 2 podium finishes this year, including the last time we saw him at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. He was 3rd, and that was his first podium since the 4th race of the year, which was back in Virginia race number 2.
Yeah, and I think Jackson's been honestly a favorite, even from the point when we were doing the KTM 390 series a couple 2 years ago now. I remember him breaking his arm early in the year and not being able to make the first round or so, and came back in Virginia and won right off the bat. So I think Jackson, in fairness, has been a guy that we've looked at and hasn't really produced the results that we thought he might be capable of. And he just looks very confident now. He's on that Kawasaki 400. And like I said, Greg, he's double look, Dominic Doyle trying to go up underneath Almeida. Yep, getting close there. But now Jackson's where I think he feels he should have been, even up to a couple of years ago. And Rocco has been class of the field all year long. So it's going to do a lot for Jackson Blackman's confidence.
And just to give you an idea, Jackson Blackman qualified at a 131.365 in this race so far. He's done a 130.468. So you're talking about a lap time in the race that's almost 1 full second quicker than qualifying, which is something we see often in the Liqui Moly Junior Cup class, because a lot of racers tend to be a little bit quicker in that race, Jason.
Yep, see that gap that's just pulled there right down through that left, and it's not going to matter too much because Rocco's still within shouting distance as far as being able to draft, but Jackson literally pulls 5 or 6 bike lengths, it seems like, in the middle, but Rocco gets this great run onto the front straightaway, and it looks like he's going to try to make a pass. He's just going to sit back there, I think, Greg. Yeah, it looks like he's just kind of paced himself. He's watching his board and realizing probably that this battle for third isn't really getting any closer.
Battle for third, 14 Olmedo back up front. Damian Jagaloff in the mix on the 78. And then Dominic Doyle on the 25. He's losing touch ever so slightly. You can see it's now back about 10 bike lengths to the 25. Starting to sort themselves out late in this race. 4 laps remain. Kevin Olmedo trying to go for another podium finish. He's got 10 so far, Jason.
They're catching him, it looks like to me, a little bit, Greg. I mean, it looks like these two guys, the Almedo and Jagalov have just closed that gap down a tiny bit on this lap. We'll look on our screens because they ran tremendous fast splits in that last split, the last lap by. So it got them a little bit closer.
Yeah, Kevin Olmedo last time by in sector number 1 set the fastest split of the race at a 24.3. Well, Damian Jagaloff and Dominic Doyle, all personal best splits in that first sector.
We can see on our screen there from Landers to Almedo's down to 1.6. When they came across the line last time, it was 2.2. So, but see how much Jackson he's able to just open that up, and then Rocco just kind of gets back in the draft. The advantage that Rocco has is on the exit of that left-hander. So that's a nice thing to have. What Rocco's got to be careful of is that if he does run wide in the middle there on the last lap, if leading, that Jackson doesn't try to go up underneath him in the middle of that corner.
What I'm interested in is if Rocco's been in this position before with his gearing down that long straightaway. It doesn't look like that Rocco Landers has the ability to pull out in that draft, or he's just playing coy at the moment.
He's just playing coy. There's no question in my mind because he just looked over his shoulder again just to see, all right, where are these guys at? We've seen Rocco do this before this year where he's won so many different ways. And right now, Jackson Blackman is up front. He's just got to keep thinking about hitting those marks, not worrying about the guy behind. This is another spot where the lines have been a little bit different. You can see Rocco now is just kind of chilling there behind him. So Jackson's just got to continue to hit his marks, like I say, and run safe, clean laps. Let's see what that gap was down to. Yeah,
it's closing.
Yeah, just a little bit that time. 1.9 is what it was. So they closed down just a little.
As you can see, Rocco Landers keeps looking over his shoulder to make sure that he's not going to come under fire, and probably also to have a look at his competition, Kevin Olmedo, to make sure he's still there. Doesn't want Kevin Olmedo to attack him. Again, the magic number is going to be 75 points at the end of this race for Rocco Landers.
See what Rocco did there? He just followed Jackson through the middle of that corner. So he's going to be much closer now when they go into the last corner. See how much closer he is? He's just cut that same amount of distance down that Jackson was making up on him. And that's what's so smart about Rocco. He sits there and he watches and he learns, and you can see he's just nothing really gets him too excited or frantic. 2 laps to go. He's still sitting there watching. They're putting the board out for him, but this group behind now, Greg, has really closed up on this lap. 1.5 seconds.
Kevin Olmedo back to third spot. Damian Jagaloff right behind him on the 78. And Dominic Doyle has closed right back up on that group. Jackson Black, a couple riders down.
Looks like Gage Reese.
Yeah, 46, Gage Reese, and possibly maybe Isaiah Burleson.
Yep, Isaiah
on
Burleson.
On the 91, I believe they were in a points-paying position.
They were hugging it out, so they're okay. Both guys are okay. Looked like it might have just been a race thing, but look at this battle. Rocco, if he takes a look out of the back right now after he comes out of here, there it is. Now, this is probably going to be the sign where Rocco goes, okay, I need to, if he can, he's going to try to get away now, if he can find a way past Jackson Blackman. And there's those 2 guys again. And we're going to have a look at it. And Toby Kampsick's in the middle of this, too. Let's see what happens. It looks like, I don't even, all of a sudden Gage slowed doan. Gage Reese slowed down. Maybe he had a problem with his bike or something, but he slowed down. Oh, man, he's trying to save that thing.
Yeah, definitely a weird
Something
incident.
happened there. It looked almost like with Gage's bike because Toby was to the outside of them.
Yeah. So it looks like Isaiah Burleson was kind of caught out there for a moment. Back up front we go. We're heading to the white flag lap. This is going to be it. Who's going to win this race? And can Rocco Landers wrap up his first championship? They come across the line. It's Blackman. Kevin Olmedo just set the fastest lap of the race at a 1:30 flat, but he gets passed. So Olmedo now dives back into third spot, and they're all together the top 5.
And now Jackson Blackman did a really heady job going down into turn 1 of blocking any opportunity that Rocco could have had to go by him. And now Almeido's there. Damian Jagalov is there. And Dominic Doyle has come with this group as well. All 5 of them now almost throw a blanket over them. But Rocco's going to see that group is right behind him now. So he's going to want to try to protect himself in this next left-hander because Almeida will not need a second invitation. And here comes Jagalov.
Damian, around the outside, tries Kevin Olmedo. Kevin needs to finish ahead of Rocco Landers to keep his championship hopes alive. So the 14, desperate to get into the lead of this one. Jackson Blackman dying to hold on to it as well. Rocco Landers, is he going to try to make any moves? Not a lot of corners left here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Landers with a look over his shoulder, and he sees a bunch of the 14.
Yep, and now Almeido's trying to go around the outside.
Olmedo trying to go around the outside of everyone.
Oh man.
And Kevin Olmedo down.
And he takes the other 2 guys with him. Doyle's down. And Jagalov is down.
Drama last lap.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, can Jackson Blackman get his first win of the season? Here they go through the final quarter. Full gas. In the draft is Rocco Landers. He might not have even seen anything. Landers goes around him to the line, and it'll be Rocco Landers with the win.
Now the battle for third, Greg. The battle for third is going to be between Isaiah Davis. Cody Wyman's going to be in this battle back there with Jacob Stroud. Look at and you can see Almeida's hurt, but he's
Rocco
up and okay.
Landers with his first national championship and the race win as his championship rival. Kevin Olmedo puts it in the gravel on the last lap late in that race. What an aggressive move. He just asked too much from everything. The bike, the tires, the track. But this rider right here, Rocco Landers.
Such a hard spot to be in, and I know that Almeida wanted to try to get that pass, but he would have maybe been able to take advantage of a double bike draft on that front straightaway. His bike had showed some speed and been able to draft today, so just too bad to see Kevin's season kind of end it that way, in the sense I know we've still got races left, but he was given everything he could to try to catch up to Rocco Landers and keep his championship alive.
Well played, Rocco Landers, your 2019 LiquiMoly Junior Cup national champion at 14 years old. He'll take his Ninja400R.com, Norton Motorsports, Dr. Farr Racing Ninja 400 to Winner's Circle, where he'll get to stand on top of the podium and collect a #1 plate. Here's a replay, Jason, of what happened.
Yeah, he's trying really hard to go the outside, go the long way around, and you're going to see the bike just kind of snaps back and spits him over, and poor Dominic Doyle and Damian Jagalov had nowhere to go. Literally the bike and the body of Almeida collected both of them.
Yeah, good thing Kevin's up. He got run over a bit.
Sorry, I'm really glad to see him up. And that's a really big high side right there, obviously. And he lands on his back, and the other 2 guys, now the bike's in their way, and you can see poor Dominic Doyle, he's trying to get by, just hits the bike and runs over Almeida as well. And then Jagalov there. Boy, Damian Jagalov has had some really bad luck this year as well. We've seen that kid for sure have the opportunity to get up on the podium, and then things like this kind of happen. But main concern is with Kevin Almeida, and hoping that he's okay.
Absolutely. He got up there, but obviously it looked like his arm got kind of pinched. And here's how Rocco did it, Jason. Perfectly timed draft and pass coming out of the last corner.
Listen, Jackson did everything he could on that last lap. I think Jackson rode as perfect of a lap as he could, knowing that he was kind of trying to win a race this year. We saw him do well at VIR and then get back to second on an infraction, so he tried really hard to win this race outright. But this guy just plans things so well and understands his competition and learns and watches what's going on, and kind of felt like he was sitting there.
Yeah. And to Damian Jagalov's credit, Jason, on that last lap, he set the fastest Sector 2 split of any time during the entire race. It shows you how well, obviously, these Dunlop tires hold up in these race conditions. And, man, they just really gave it so much. As Jackson Blackman playing Uber.
Yeah, bring in Kevin Almeida in. So just happy to see Kevin come in that way, other than in an ambulance. So I'm happy to see he's halfway okay anyhow. That was a big crash, Greg. That was a really big crash.
Margin of victory will be noted as .021, 21 hundredths of a second for Rocco Landers over Jackson Blackman. And Isaiah Davis will be third. Cody Wyman, who Cody came back to this class in the LiquiMoly Junior Cup class at pit race on a Westby Racing Yamaha R3. And Cody Wyman, who didn't finish a lap. And by the way, one thing to keep in mind, Jason, about these lap times is the fastest lap of the race, which is going to be credited to Damian Jigaloff on lap number 10. He'll be starting from pole tomorrow. So our fastest laps recorded in this race are going to set the grid for tomorrow.
Yep. No, that's going to be great. He's going to be able to start up front, and he'll be the kind of kid that could probably go with those leaders as well. Got his new helmet on already.
He does have his new helmet on. So for Rocco Landers, his 11th race win of the season. He's had 11 wins and 1 second-place finish. And he gets to wrap up this championship 3 races early.
Yeah, and you know, it's one thing to win a bunch of club championships. I've seen this young man win a bunch of club racing championships with CVMA. I know he's racing with AFM out in California this year as well. But to get your first national, championship and to do it the way he's doing it this year is pretty remarkable. And it'll be a day he won't forget. And I know his mom and dad and everybody that are down there put so much into this, and so it's a tremendous effort.
So it's Rocco Landers, Blackman, Davis, Wyman, Stroud. Damian Jigaloff was able to pick up the motorcycle and come across the line in 6th spot after that incident. Toby Kamsuk in 7th, Hobbs, Rodeo, and Benjamin Galati. As we take a look at these results, great job by Jigaloff to be able to get back up and running as he finishes 24 seconds behind. You can see that real tight margin of victory. And also that incredible battle between Davis, Wyman, and Stroud, all covered by 0.2 of a second. Let's get down to Hannah in winner's circle.
Rocco, first place right at the line, but even sweeter, you clinched your first ever professional championship. How did you do it?
I was just, I tried to get the first lap as possible. Then Jackson got by me, like, oh, can we erase this? I was just trying to go as fast as possible right behind him and just see what was happening, and then just go with the flow, I guess. And then I was like, when I see Kevin go around, I'm like, oh God, he's right there. Then I saw him crash, and I was like, damn it. But I mean, I'm super, super, super stoked to get this championship, and I couldn't have done it without Mort Farr with Dr. Farr Racing. He's helped us out so much when all the times were tough with all the financial, and NinjaForWinjar.com, Norton Motorsports, Hot Bodies, Wonder CBD, everyone else. Thank you.
Rocco's gonna go celebrate with some Reese's. Congratulations, Rocco Landers.
Like a Reese's, or do you think he's going to dive into like one of those 5-pound bags you get from Costco?
Probably find a couple for you.
I'm just saying.
Could probably find a couple for you, little Rocco, I'm sure. And you can go and enjoy those too now. And tomorrow for the rest of the year now, it's just going to be a free-for-all for the last 3 rounds. Just what these other guys need. This guy with no pressure on him whatsoever. But I kind of feel like he just never rode this year at all with pressure on him. He just has
And when there was pressure, he just seemed to handle it
really well.
Yeah. We've seen him win
question.
from so many different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, last on the grid, the last lap passes and checking out, and it's just been an incredible season to watch the LiquiMoly Junior Cup national champion Rocco Landers. Well, it's time to get down to the podium for more.
Vinny Russo from LiquiMoly to present our top 3. Isaiah to get 3rd place, his first podium of the year. Let's hear it for Isaiah Davis. In 2nd place, a brilliant race, the best of the season for Axon Jackson Blackman. And your winner today with a brilliant run in the last corner, the one and only, here he is, remember his name, Rocco Landers. And we got to turn to the champ and get a word. Rocco, you did it in style, mate. That's exactly the way to do it. That's what this crowd wanted. And this is a name we're all going to remember for a long time. What a season. 11 wins, 1 second place.
Yeah, it's been a great season so far. It's first year racing pro, first year to get a championship. It's super cool. I couldn't have done it without everyone. MotoAmerica, Liqui Moly for putting on the Junior Cup and sponsoring myself. More Far with Dr. Far Racing, and Ninja400.com, Norton Motorsports, Hot Bodies, Wonder CBD, Dunlop tires, and everything else.
What's next for you? Because you've got the #1 plate, you got the #1 helmet. Where are you going?
I'm going to go get a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
There you go. That's what we love to hear. All right, Isaiah, well done to you. Your first podium. Let's go back, first of all, to Greg, back in the booth.
All right, thanks. So, Jason, there's the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup theme again. He's going for it.
He is.
I guess he doesn't eat Reese's Peanut Butter Cups during the race season when he's after a championship.
He's got to know he likes them, so when does he eat them?
That's discipline at 14 years old, you know?
No, tremendous. Really, really good to see Rocco close us out today. You heard him talking about a little bit of the issues that all racers have, the financial issues of getting around the country and doing this series and being committed, and they've had that this year. And you know, talking to his dad, Stoney, a lot, who's obviously a huge influence. He keeps him on a bike all of the time. He was doing an endurance race at Nelson Ledges last week. Remember Nelson? Did you ever ride Nelson Ledges?
Yeah.
You did, yeah. Well, that's where he was last week.
Unbelievable.
A little bit rough, that place.
And believe me, now the chains are off. Rocco Landers has nothing but 3 races to go trying to win them. All right, Rocco Landers, race winner and now national champion of the LiquiMoly Junior Cup. Our first crowning of a national champion here in MotoAmerica competition. More on the other side of this break.